Սիրելի բարեկամներ, վերջերս Միացյալ Ազգերի կազմակերպությունում Հայաստանի Հանրապետության ներկայացուցիչ դեսպան Գարեն Նազարյանը ելույթ է ունեցել ՄԱԿ-ի անվտանգության խորհրդում տեղի ունեցող քննարկումներին, նվիրված հակամարտություններում խաղաղ քաղաքացիների պաշտպանությանը։ Դեսպան Նազարյանը անդրադարձել է Սիրիայում ապրող հայերի խնդիրներին, նշելով, որ բազմաթիվ սիրիահայեր այժմ փախստականի կարգավիճակով ապրում են Հայաստանում։ Այսուհանդերձ բավականին մեծ զանգված սիրիահայերի մնացել է օրեցօր ահագնացող բռնությունների ներքո։ Դեսպան Նազարյանը նաև նշել է, որ Սիրիայում ոչնչացվում են հայկական արժեքները, հայ եկեղեցիները վերածվում են ավերակների։
Madam President, I join previous speakers in thanking you for presiding over this important debate. It is commendable that the Council has continued its practice of holding open debates on protection of civilians, featuring briefings by Secretary General and Under-Secretary General Amos, the High Commissioner Pillay, and the Director for International Law and Cooperation of International Committee of the Red Cross. Today's debate offers opportunity for the Council to evaluate the progress on key issues, such as the implementation of previously adopted resolutions on this matter, and indicate areas where further focus is needed to be paid, including the enhancement of compliance with international humanitarian law and strengthening of accountability for its violations. Ensuring such accountability and enhancing compliance with international legal obligations by parties in a conflict should be viewed as a key element of the Council's responsibility to maintain international peace and security. Madam President, we acknowledge the usefulness of discussing in a Council on a regular basis issues relevant to the protection of civilians and note with appreciation the continued efforts of the ICRC and commend the latter's role in promotion of international humanitarian law and monitoring compliance with it. In recent years, the member states and civil society groups have increased their efforts to address the protection of civilians in conflict and post-conflict situations. In its previous resolutions and presidential statements, this Council has recognized that respect of the international humanitarian law is an essential component of protection and reaffirmed that protection of civilian population should be an important aspect of any comprehensive strategy to resolve conflicts. The reports of the Secretary General have also contributed to the consideration of this critical issue, highlighted the need to translate normative commitments into concrete improvements in order to enhance the compliance with the international humanitarian law. Therefore, we share the views expressed by some participants of this debate, which call for a more systematic attention to the protection. Madam President, we remain alarmed by the worsening of humanitarian situation of civilian population in Syria and condemn all attacks, kidnappings, and terrorist acts that indiscriminately target civilians, including minority groups. For Armenia, the situation in Syria is not just another news headline. We continue to receive refugees that are full of worries about the escalation of violence. Over 100,000 of Armenians remain in this multi-confessional and multi-ethnic country among growing violence and an escalating humanitarian crisis. We have seen their homes and churches destroyed and damaged, their safety and security taken away from them. As conflict continues, the humanitarian situation worsens. A great number of Armenians in Aleppo and Damascus are struggling to survive through unbearable conditions together with many Syrian citizens. We are convinced that in order to address this kind of situation, we must abandon selective approaches to the violations of international humanitarian law. There must also be a strict adherence to the human rights standards. Madam President, Armenia believes that the international community must effectively seek thorough compliance by all parties to armed conflict with the norms of international humanitarian law and recommend that the parties take all necessary measures to ensure rapid and unimpeded access by humanitarian actors. We also trust that increased efforts to strengthen accountability for mass atrocity crimes are essential, And it is commendable that the Council, for the last 2 decades, continued to focus on the responsibility of states to end the impunity and thoroughly investigate and prosecute persons responsible for grave violations of international humanitarian law and human rights law to avoid their recurrence and seek justice. As the Secretary General noted in his previous report, reparation is an issue that also needs to be addressed, as victims very often need assistance and justice. This March, the Human Rights Council adopted a resolution entitled Genocide Prevention that inter alia stresses the importance of promotion of truth, justice, and reparation, and that perpetrators should be held criminally accountable on the national and international levels. The resolution also affirms the primary responsibility of states to protect their population from genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity, which is part of our common responsibility to protect. Strengthening the accountability based on truth and justice, therefore, requires a deeper commitment and broader vision of the future. In its presidential statements adopted 2 weeks ago, this Council emphasized that ending impunity is essential in conflict and post-conflict society efforts to come to terms with the past serious crimes and preventing future crimes under international law. Armenia strongly shares this approach in working to address the peaceful and political resolution of disputes in different parts of the world. Madam President, in conclusion, let me mention that Armenia supports the implementation of previously adopted resolution by the Council, and in particular 1894, which provides an important guidance to ensure the effective protection of populations in armed conflicts. We therefore welcome Argentina's initiative to hold this open debate. It offers a valuable opportunity to translate advancement at the normative level into tangible progress on the ground and renew our commitment to the protection of civilians. I thank you.